Welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast with me, Hiram Roche. This podcast, we encourage fathers, husbands, believers, and entrepreneurs to be able to walk into their God-given potential. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram Roche, also known as HR, and I'm always truly excited to be here with you, my Greatness Tribe. Hey, listen, this is a conversation that I really felt kind of like nudged to be able to share this with you, because it's something that was also spoken to me in my private time. And so I wanted to be able to share this with you because I feel like this is going to be specifically for you in the season and in the space that you're in. As we step into this new month of February, I believe that this is going to be vitally important for this month. So we're going to dive right into this conversation, and we're going to look in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 10, and we're going to read a few verses of scripture that I believe is going to kind of help us in this guide of conversation. So Deuteronomy chapter 10, starting at verses 1, we're going to just read the first 5 verses of this scripture of this book. And then we're going to be able to go from there. So Deuteronomy chapter 10, starting at verses 1, this is what it says. It says, at that time, the Lord said unto me, hew thee 2 tablets of stone like unto the first, and come up unto me into the mount, and make thee an ark of wood. And I will write on the tablets, or the tables, the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. And I made an ark of shittim wood, and hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and went up into the mount, having these 2 tables in my hand. And he wrote on the tables, according to the first writing, the 10 commandments which the Lord spake unto you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And the Lord gave them unto me. And I turned myself and came down with the mount, and put the tables in the ark, which I made, and there they be as the Lord commanded. Now, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, Hiram, what are we talking about? I think that this is going to probably be a 2-part conversation. But tonight, what I want to be able to kind of speak to us about, tonight I want to really hewn and lean into is this thought. I want us to be able to try again. In this context of scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 10, what we are reading about is really God communicating to Moses that, listen, I want you to be able to do this again. I want you to be able to do what I asked you to do the first time, that you broke, that you did not do correctly, that you messed up with. I want you to now try and do this again. And there's the specific conversation, so we can all be on the same page in this conversation. In this context, earlier part of kind of like in the scriptures, we see that God asked him to be able to ask Moses, as he is leading this great large tribe of people, moving them from a place of bondage, walking them through the wilderness, and now getting ready to walk them into, or getting them prepared for, the promised land, the land that God had promised that he was going to give unto them. And in between delivering them out of bondage and walking them into the promise, they're in this place called the wilderness. And what God started to do in the midst of this wilderness, he started to be able to give unto them some standards, some statutes, some ways that they are supposed to live and to govern themselves, so that, one, they can get things out of their system that they got from being in bondage, but then 2, they can also be prepared for where he's about to take them. So while they're in this middle place, he's working these things out. And in the midst of that, he calls Moses up unto the mountain. And one of the reasons for him doing this is not just that they can be able to have time together, but he did it because he wanted to be able to give Moses some rules, some laws, some things that they could be able to live by, to be able to govern their lives by, so that because he knew where they were going. And so Moses goes up into this mount. He's up there for a certain amount of time, a long period of time. And in the process of him being up there in this long period of time, the people starts to kind of get like a little antsy. They're waiting and they don't know what's happened. Has Moses died while he was up there? We don't know what's going on. Nobody can actually go up there but Moses, because the scriptures allows us to be able to see that if anybody went to go touch this mountain, they would have died on the spot because of the presence of God that was sitting on this mount. And so you had all of these different things happening. And then what we realize and see is in the midst of them waiting, stuff started to come up. Now, we don't want to say that these things weren't already there, because they were. But what we recognize and what we start to see is in the process of them waiting, there are things that start to come up out of them that we start to now see in the way the scripture allows us to be able to recognize. And one of the things that came out of them is something that they learned, something that they recognized or saw when they were in bondage. And one of the things is creating a God in replacement of the God they're waiting for. And so while they're waiting on Moses to come down with the instructions from God, they are now in a position because they are tired of waiting. They don't know what's going on. They are fearful now. And so now they're in a place and in a position, in a mindset where they're stating, hey, listen, let's create us a leader. Let's create a new leader that can be able to take care of us. But then also let's create a God. Let's create us a God that will then get the credit for what God has already done. And so what they started to do is they started to gather all the jewelry and all the things, and they created this golden calf. And once they did that, the scripture allows us to kind of be able to really see is they really had a big old huge party and started to do all these different things. But while they're in the midst of the party, Moses is coming down with two tables that have been written out by God, that have been laid out by God, the guidance, the instructions, what we consider as the 10 Commandments. He's bringing those down before the people so that the people can be able to know the rules, the instructions, the guidance that God has given unto his people for the journey ahead. And as soon as he comes down and sees all of the foolery that's happening, the scripture says he breaks these tablets. He throws them down. Now, some studies say that this was a picture for them that they had already broken something that they didn't even get yet. They had already broken the commandment. They had already started to break these laws before they even got it. And then some people say that this was just a sign or a show of Moses' anger in the moment. He was so frustrated that he just shut it all down. And one of the ways that he did it in his anger is he just broke it. He just threw it down out of his anger. But no matter which way it was, the tablets or the tables were broken. The instructions, the guidance that God was trying to lay out before the people were broken. And so now Moses is making some major decisions in the midst of that. As time goes on, all the way until now, we're getting to the place where we're at now in chapter 10 of Deuteronomy, where in between all of this, we have now conversations that is trying to prepare the people for where they're going. Prepare the people because now we're at the brink. We're at the crossing path where now when we step over this place, we're walking into the promise that God already has for us. And so now in this moment, now God is saying unto Moses, hey, listen, I want you to try this again. I want you to come with me. I want you to come back up here again. And this time, what I want you to do is I want you to prepare the tables. I want you to get these tablets, these tables together. And then I want you to not only get the tablets together, but I want you to also prepare a place where they can be secured. I want you to prepare something, get this thing prepared and ready, where after we build this, after we work on this, after I write this thing back out, I want you to be able to have somewhere that they can be secured, where they're not going to be easily damaged. They're not going to be easily touched. Only people can get close to this is those that are assigned to touch it. But I need you to be able to not only create the tablets itself, but I need you also to prepare something that will secure it. We're going to talk about the securing this thing on next week. But But in this conversation on today, what I felt God leading me and pushing me into is there are some things that we desire to do. There are some things that we had a passion to do. There are some things that we really wanted to do. There are some things that we started to do that did not go as planned, that did not go like we wanted it to. It broke up, it messed up, it failed. You might have fumbled the balls. Situations might have happened, and it made it the way to go a different way that you didn't want it to go. But what God is saying unto us on tonight is, I want you to try again. And here's the thing that I love about this scripture that I want us to be able to see. We're going to read verses 2 because I want us to be able to see there is a piece in here. Before we can read verse 2, we have to understand that in verse 1, God gives unto Moses a responsibility. He has a responsibility in the midst of this work. Moses is not going to just bring all the stuff and God is going to create it. No, that's not how this is going to happen. God is saying this time you got to put your work in and I'm going to do my work. We're going to be co-laborers together in this assignment. But the important part is the assignment has to get done. You have a part to play. I have a part to play. We got some stuff that we got to get done. And then God says, there's some stuff that I'm going to have to get done. We are both workers in this. So Moses has an instruction and work to do that he describes in verses 1. But let's read verses 2. Verses 2 says this. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 2. It says this. And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. Now let's pause, because I don't want us to read this and skip past this revelation that God showed me. The entry of verses 2 says this, and I will write. Who is writing? This is not Moses writing. This is not even Joshua writing. This is God saying, I'm going to write it. Now, I love this context because it not only shows God's portion that God is going to do, but it also allows us to see something that I want us to be able to recognize. Let's read it again. And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first. What we are seeing in this moment is God being a restorer. God said, listen, you put the work in to bring it before me, and I'm going to restore this thing the way it was supposed to be. I'm going to put it and create it and put my fingerprint on it so it can get to or become or look like what I wanted it to be in the beginning. The first time I had a plan for it, some things happened, transpired that it messed it up. But now, after all of those things, I need you to try this again. I need you to bring it back before me again. I need you to work on this again. I need you to go back in the shop again. I need you to go back in your dreams again. I need you to work on this again and bring it before me. And I'm going to put my fingerprint on it and I'm going to restore. Not only am I going to restore what I said I was going to do, but I love how God does it. I'm going to do it in a time frame that ain't going to take long. So not only is he restoring, but we see him being a redeemer of the time that was lost based upon the work of that was supposed to get done. What is this saying? What is this saying to us? And listen, I'm trying to be as calm as possible with this because this is also making me very, very excited. And in the midst of this making me very, very excited, it's all of these pieces happening all at once.
Every journey begins with a single step, but what if you knew exactly where that journey was meant to end? I wrote the book for people like you, people that have dreams, people that have goals, people that want to walk in their own business, create their own legacy, but just don't know where to start. This book is a handbook. It's a bunch of tools that gives you the steps that you'll need to be able to walk into the destiny, the dream, the life that you desire and should have for you. And start with the finish in mind. You'll discover how to redefine your purpose, build on actionable roadmap, and stay focused on the outcome that truly matters. With practical advice, real life stories, and a faith-driven approach, Start with the Finish in Mind will equip you to set clear, purpose-filled objectives, navigate challenges with resilience, and build a legacy that you'll be proud of. Start with the Finish in Mind by Hiram Roche, your guide to purposeful living and lasting success.
So listen, this is where we are. This is what we have to be able to understand of what he's doing. This is what he's doing. He's saying, listen, there was time wasted from the first time you tried up until now. There has been time that has been wasted. That time could have been years, that time could have been months, this time even could have been weeks. But it's the time that has been wasted because the first time didn't work, because it didn't happen the way you thought it was going to, because you started it but you felt like you couldn't finish. You did all of that stuff that you thought was supposed to be, that you said that you heard from God, that you knew God told you to do, you knew God showed you it, all of the things that you want to be able to communicate in this context. Some stuff we put on the shelf. Some stuff we quit altogether. Because why? Because we felt like it did not go like it was supposed to, or there was something that happened that made me quit. And what God is saying, in between that time that you quit and right now, there was time that was wasted. But now I'm saying, I need you to try again. I need you to do it again. And this time when you do it again, I'm going to restore and redeem time, because I need to make up the time for the assignment and the work that I've already given you to do. So whatever your dream was, whatever your goals were, whatever thing that you wanted to accomplish, there were some things that you started that you quit. And the only reason why you quit, some people, you quit because it got hard. It wasn't because it wasn't what God had called you to do. It wasn't because this wasn't what God assigned you for your life. No, it just got difficult and you felt overwhelmed, so you quit. There are some things or some people that I'm talking to right now. It's not that it got overwhelming. You just felt like you didn't have the resources to make it happen. There are some scenarios of situations where you have created certain things, but we were trying to depend upon our own selves, our own skill, our own ability, our own resources to make these things happen. So we quit. We stopped altogether. We killed the dream. We put the whole thing down. We stopped it altogether. But God is saying, try again. I need you to pick it back up. I need you to try it again. I need you to put this thing back to work. I understood you put it on the shelf. I'm not going to knock you for putting it on the shelf, because we don't see him fussing at Moses because he broke it. No, we're not going to knock you for putting it on the shelf. I ain't going to knock you for being overwhelmed. What I am going to say is I need you to do it again. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assist you in a way that's going to redeem the time. And then I'm going to give you strict instructions, not only to try again, not only am I going to assist you, but I'm going to give you something that I need you to create that's going to protect the gift, that's going to protect the dream, that's going to protect the idea, so that in the future, when we work on this, we don't have to worry about it being broken. We don't have to worry about getting damaged. We don't have to worry about it being, you not being encouraged or feeling like you don't have the support. You'll have everything you need, because the gift, the idea, the dream, the passion, your heart, your mind, the things that your vision, all of those things will be protected, because we'll put it in a secure place. We're going to talk about the secure place next week. I need you to come back. But this week, I just need to encourage you. I need to really encourage you as we start the month of February. Try it again. It does not matter your age. It does not matter your financial status. It doesn't matter where your relationship status is. None of those contexts matters. What matters is that you try again. So we have to then sit back and ask ourselves, what is it? What was the thing you gave up on? What is the thing that you quit? What is the thing that you know you're supposed to be doing right now? You're supposed to be working on right now, but you've allowed whatever it is to get you off your focus, to get you off your work, to get you off your assignment, whatever that thing was, whatever it is. I'm telling you now as an encouragement, let's get to work. Try it again, because I believe that in this month, as you put in the work, that you're going to see God put his finger in your work. And he's not only going to be the restorer of what he wanted, but he's going to be the redeemer of the time that was lost because the work still has to get done. I know and pray that this encourages you. And I pray that this pushes you because we have too much things that is sitting on our tables that we have not put to work. And your greatness, again, as a reminder, this is your first time hearing this. If you've been rocking with me for some time, you know that this is a context of what greatness really is. Greatness is the ability to be able to serve well. And one of the things about you walking in your greatness is you have to do what God has put in you, because what he puts in you is what you use as the tool to be able to serve the people that God has assigned you to. Some of that is your family. Some of that is people outside of your family. Some of that is friends. Some of that is coworkers. Some of that is people that you might never meet in life. But you have to take advantage and utilize the things that God has given unto you. Work on those things so you can walk in your greatness. Because again, greatness is the ability to be able to serve well. I love you all, family, and y'all have a blessed night. And let's have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful February. I'll talk to y'all next time.